A very good evening to all our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Evening Review. My name is Toiwanjabela, your host. Tonight we are joined by Lisa Matomola. She's the author of a brand new book, People First. It's a handbook on managing people in the workplace and getting the best out of your employees. Lisa, it's such a pleasure to have you on the platform. How are you doing?
Good evening, Toyvon. I'm doing well. Yourself?
No, very good. Yeah, thank you for making time, really. It looks like a very fascinating book. I've been following on social media, but I haven't had a chance to go through it. But of course, I think at my level, managing people myself, I must grab myself a copy. But it's an interesting book. I'm looking at the table of contents here, and so much leading like Coach Botta. And all that. If you can summarize first what the book is about, really.
The book is about people.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned in your introduction,
Yeah.
it's about bringing out the best in people, how you manage people, how you manage. Because when you are promoted because you are a journalist, you write the best stories, you are good at
Yes.
writing and doing research. But now when you're put in a managerial position, you have to manage different people. So how do you manage different people, different personalities, poor performers, top performers,
Yeah.
and also ensuring that people work for you and they don't resign because Mr. Toivo and I don't get along, but also being productive. Because if people are managed effectively,
Yeah.
developing them as well, very important. Looking at your interns when you hire them, maybe for a short period of time, they have grown. Making sure that as a manager, you lead, you develop them, you coach them to that extent that they can also be the next editor.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's very interesting here because just ironic, earlier today I was speaking on the WhatsApp group of our team, and I was saying to them, and I did actually say that it's just a random post, and I was saying that for you to remain a star employee, you had to perform at a high level consistently. In journalism, we write stories, and you are only as good as your last story.
Yeah.
If you do not produce another one tomorrow for that consistency and momentum, then people will easily forget you, especially in a very competitive news environment that we have now, social media and everything. So for you to remain in the psyche of the people, you have to be consistently in their face with your best performances. And there is indeed a topic here under chapter 2 of your book, managing top performers.
Yes.
Even top performers must be managed.
Yeah.
Why must you manage a top performer if he's already performing?
So it's important to manage top performers because they are critical to the organization.
Yeah.
They are always good for the business. They make things happen. However, because top performers have the right attitude, they have the right character, they have the willingness, and they go beyond and above. At times they hardly complain. They are very good at their job. And because of managers and the different personalities that I mentioned, you rather focus on somebody who is willing to do the work than a poor performer. Because if you need to sell the newspaper, you want somebody that can write a story, and a story better than yesterday, a story that can capture and have viewers wanting more. However, if they are not managed effectively, managers make mistakes and think top performers are happy. They hardly say stuff because most of the time they're busy, but they are burnout because everything is on them. You give them this task, and then after that they get another task, and then it keeps going on and on and on. At times not even appreciated. So because naturally as a manager, and they will do the job. They'll get the job done. So you forget to say thank you to them. You forget to increase their salaries or pay them bonuses, especially for companies that don't have bonuses. And eventually, they just leave. They surprise you with a resignation, and managers are always shocked and say, how did the top performer leave? Because they are overwhelmed, they are overworked, And there's what we call passion exploitation. So when you
Yeah.
give your top performers tasks that are not ending, they go home late, they're always working weekends. There's a passion exploitation. They love the job, but they are exploited.
That's a very, very, very interesting aspect, passion exploitation.
Yeah.
Because I think we tend to think that because the person is already passionate about what they do, that they do it easily and that everything is easy for them. But actually, they put a lot of effort and energy into it. And we sometimes do not see that aspect because you just think, oh, they love journalism, or they love being an accountant.
Yeah.
And then, but non-performers also, there's a topic dedicated to this. How do you manage non-performers? Because they are that is a very difficult space. That must be a difficult one because
you can't even find the right word.
Yes, absolutely, because non-performers, they feed you with a lot of excuses. They don't deliver. They give you fake promises. No, I'll now do things better going forward. You call them in.
Yeah.
Up until what stage must I put up with non-performers?
Non-performers, they are costly. But maybe before I get to that other side of it, when we hire, when we recruit as HR practitioners, or even because recruitment is still your responsibility to a certain extent as a line manager, we hire based on potential. We see that somebody has a potential to join this organization, but for various reasons, first of all, we must ask ourselves, why are they not performing? Is it because we're not giving them resources? Do they have the skills required for them to operate at that level? Are they overwhelmed? If we look back, COVID, when retrenchments were going on, people were left with additional tasks that can lead you to perform. Or is it wellness issues? We talk about mental health, or even personal issues that is going on that can affect somebody's performance at the time. But you also use a certain word, consistently, ongoing. For companies that have performance management, we review your performance, but you still just underperforming at the level that is required. So that becomes difficult, and that is where managers don't want to focus time with the non-performers, and they easily give tasks to the top performers. But what does that create? You create people that are just here to collect salaries. You are paying salaries, but people are not giving you the value in return that you require from them, because we pay people to deliver, and when they are not delivering, they are costly. Micromanagement becomes an issue because now we have to look for you, and you said, I'll do it. I'll submit that report. I'll show up, or if I'm working from home, I'm not available. So that creates micromanagement. People start complaining and say the environment is toxic, but at times non-performers create that toxic environment because of the attitude that they show. So it's very, very important to manage non-performance. I've been training on performance management the past 2 weeks, and not the past 2 weeks, the past 2 days, and I advise both managers and employees and say, if you don't manage poor performance, we say straighten an iron while it's still hot, because if you don't, it will be too late. So if we accept that behavior that is not desirable, because the aim of performance management is to also correct undesired behavior. We don't want a certain attitude in the workplace to prolong. It becomes a sickness. It becomes hard to manage. So it's important to manage poor performance or non-performance so that they don't become a pain in the neck for our business, and that way affect our productivity.
Before we go on a break, Lisa, the other aspect is there are, there's always the work environment is always evolving. Many years ago, there are things that you could say in the office that you can no longer say today. You'll be called a bully. You are bullying employees. You are bullying your colleagues. There's so many sensitivities these days. How do you manage a poor performer without coming across as a bully of some sort?
The key word is organizational culture.
Yeah.
Previously, in the olden days, people were looking after the job security was more important.
Yeah.
And even if you look at the work dynamics when it comes to the different ages, the baby boomers, the one that are almost retiring next year or the one that keep retiring, they are all about the work ethics and getting the job done, as long as families are taken care of. But the new generation is about how you treat me, how you, because the words you use to me, they also can destroy me as an employee or bring out the best in me or help me to actually elevate me to the next level. But now if I work in an environment that is belittling, an environment that even though I just commit maybe a minor mistake, it looks like
blown out of proportion.
Is blown out of proportion. The like you said, the words that are used. I've been told that in some companies you can swear at your employees, you can call them names. But when you're out there, you say our people are our most important and valuable assets. Would you want to treat people that are most valuable asset as if they were not human beings? And when that happens, people would not want to come to work because of the culture. So the bullying is happening, is real. I think previously people just accepted it because it was the job.
Absolutely. We go for a very quick break and then return with Lisa Matomola.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
The conversation continues with Lisa Matomola. Now, Lisa, the one thing that we have never really, as a people, understood is, what do you need in a work environment? Do you need a leader or a manager, or does it depend on the environment and kind of industry where you find yourself in?
That's a very nice question and very, very important as well. And the question is always management or leadership.
Yeah.
At times one has to be a manager, you manage processes. At times you have to be a leader and just inspire. So you can be both. You can be a managerial leader, but I think with the recent leadership frameworks, principles, the focus is more on leaders, because leaders, they inspire others. Leaders, they show the way. Leaders, they lead by example. They are always available. But when it comes to managers, they are not very people-centric. They are more process and result-oriented. But when you have a leader who is people-focused, people-oriented, they bring out the people and the results at the same time. Because when you are leading people, they perform.
Where do you there's a topic also in your book about do not pass the buck. And it's one of the things that today's managers are grappling with, because if you pass on the work, for example, to your subordinates, times is perceived as empowering people, getting them to do things, preparing them for future senior roles. But the thin line is also that maybe you are just lazy and passing on everything to the people. I mean, how do you strike that balance?
You speak as if you have read the book.
Yeah, I will read it.
Because everything is connected. So
yeah.
delegation is not a problem,
Yeah.
but people delegate tasks that they don't want. Or at times they also delegate, like you said, because they are lazy, and there's also something on being a lazy manager.
Yeah.
But the most important aspect is explaining. If you give an employee a task,
Yeah.
why this task? And are you going to be available and say, this is how we do it? If you need assistance, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Ask if you need help so I can coach you, so I can show you. So if employees know how to do the task, and what managers do, you give the task and you drive to the farm.
Yeah.
Then when you come back, when things go wrong, you go back and you shout at the employee or you pass them back and blame them. But the focus is accountability and the training and the coaching. So how you delegate is important as a manager, and it's not to delegate tasks that are not also helping the employee to develop, because sometimes it's also a matter of disadvantaging employee. You give them boring tasks or minor tasks, so that when promotion comes, it's a form of abuse to a certain extent. Then you give excuses and say you are not operating at the level that is required. So it's very, very important for managers to ensure that when you delegate, you are also there and not leave people alone.
Yeah. How do you link, how do you create that linkage between performance and remuneration? I saw there was a lot of letters flying lately at NAST. One example is of a person saying a colleague of theirs was, their salary was elevated while theirs remained stagnant. What is the good practice? Is it to make sure that everybody in the same pay grade earns the same, or could you reward performance and say, well, you are in the same grade, but since person A has really shown great work, we are going to pay them without causing disharmony within the environment?
So some of the issues that arise in the workplace are because of transparency. So when salaries are not open, or when people don't know why they are not remunerated the same way, it creates that chaos in the workplace. And if you look at an institution like NAS, they are an SOE, so obviously guided by PEGA. And if you have grades, there are remuneration brackets or salary notches. So there's no way somebody can be paid different. If we're in the same grade, we should be paid at least almost the same, if not equally, depending on the type of philosophy the company has. Because at times you might have 3 notches in one grade. So maybe based on where I'm coming from, or if I meet the job requirements, I might be on a different salary scale. When it comes to performance, private sector, they use the model where an employee performs, their salary also is likely to increase. But in some companies, like especially your SOEs, they use performance management system, where you say if you perform, you get a bonus. And one of the challenges when performance is also not rewarded, when there's no monetary reward or even non-monetary reward, then it creates that unfairness, because people don't know how are we remunerated, how are we paid when we perform. But people who always earn more at times are the least performing. So and we do a bit of audits on our lifestyle somehow, somewhere, and then we get to find out, and that's how things such as remuneration are exposed. So it's important, and I think one of the things I've been vocal about is salaries being publicized, so people can know and have transparency in the workplace.
So So the best way would then be, I suppose there's no one size fits all, but is it, for example, your view that keep people in the same notch, the same salary, but when you then do performance reviews and whatnot, that's where you can now reward top performers? Is that sort of the thinking?
It depends. It varies from organization to organization.
Yeah.
Like I said, in an environment where you are regulated by PEGA, and we see that the moment you receive the inequality or disparities, you obviously write about it. We've seen when entities were formed, the first thing that you see is like maybe the CEO is overpaying themselves and that kind of stuff. So if an environment has to comply, governance is important. So pay people as per the requirements. And if you say that we be open in terms of how your pay is, a lot of companies, like in the audit environment, they will say, we pay based on the fact that we hire you without skills and we train you. But as you progress, as you perform, and that's how employees can actually also increase their salary. When you perform, there's no employer who will not pay you. But now we are performing, and we see a lot of, I'm sure you have seen the headlines where employees are demanding salaries. Even the public is also becoming a bit sensitive now and say, you want more money, but you're not delivering, because at the end of the day, especially where it's taxpayers' money, people feel like, where is the value add? So if we should pay people, they must deliver, because we don't want to create entities where people are overpaid but under delivering.
Yeah, absolutely. Then there's also a topic in the book about taking time off. How do you strike that balance also again? You know, allowing people to re-energize and come back fresh, and losing them and leaving the organization exposed to workload and whatnot.
So that is currently, I think even for me personally, that's what I'm experiencing in terms of burnout. And I receive a lot of requests on that. The moment teams are burnout, the productivity drops. But like you said, we still want people to produce. So the question is, what is causing that burnout? And that's where we need to look at our structures. Are we sufficiently staffed? Do we have resources such as technology? Because technology makes work easier at times, or simplifies some manual processes. Efficiency, effectiveness becomes important. So we don't want people that are exhausted. When people are exhausted, when people are tired, when people don't take leave, they just show up because they have to. We have what we call presentism. I come to work, but 90% of the time I'll be watching and say, what did Jobs say today? How far is this story? Or absenteeism increases because I'm burnout. I just go to the to the doctor and say, doctor, I'm not sick, but I need to rest. So it's and you often find that in an environment where the manager is also not taking time off themselves, they're actually saying, here we don't rest, but people must rest. So give them, even if it's a day off, at times it's even maybe reduce hours, or finding people when people work from home, they're also productive. So sometimes people, what's more exhausting is the up and down and the commuting. So
yeah, absolutely. The last part, the last question then to you, Lisa, is where can the book be found? How can one get one for themselves?
So there is a link on my different social media pages where people can place an order. The book is $250 Namibian only, and I can also be emailed lisa@hitohr.com, especially for corporates to order for their employees.
Yeah, wonderful. No, I am really excited about, the topics, the titles, they look very exciting.
Yeah.
And I think those of us who manage people, I think it's a very, very important handbook to have. I mean, like I said, when I'm looking at the subtopics and the chapters here, it speaks, just reading out a topic or headline, or I call it headline. in the news, you could already, it speaks already to so many things that that confront us every day. So thank you very much for making time. We will definitely call you back again for your second and third book. So we appreciate your time, Lisa.
Thank you, Toivo.
Yeah, that was Lisa Matomola. She's the author of this wonderful book, People First. It's a handbook encompassing a lot of topics, especially things that confront us in the work environment on a daily basis. I recommend that you get one for yourself. Thank you for watching.